unlike Libby, I am not a duck swimming in water.
Yes, Maria is listening to the show, folks. That's right.
So I am not. I am literally like the hammer where everybody's holding nails, and I'm like, okay, let's go. So that's me.
Love it.
Yeah.
The hammer.
I love that.
Bring the
I want to
hammer.
be a hammer. I want to be a hammer. I like that.
Maria does not accept no for an answer. I've witnessed it. If she gets no from one level, she keeps moving right up the ladder until she hears what she needs to hear.
I love that. I love that, Maria. When I was in advertising sales, I also didn't take no's. I was like, I keep going until I get a yes or restraining order. Like, I just go.
I don't think I've gone that far, but I have to block that email.
Not literally. Yeah, not literally. But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you have to be super persistent.
Welcome to Beats Working, winning the game of events, where we share stories and strategies to turn any event or life moment into something unforgettable.
Events are wild, and the people who work in them are some of the most resilient humans on Earth. If you know, you know.
So come with us behind the curtain for a look at their most memorable experiences.
As they say, the show must go on, so let's get on with the show. Welcome to Beats Working, winning the game of events. Today's guests are the powerhouse pair behind some of the most complex event and trade show logistics happening around the globe. And we are so lucky because we also work with them. So we get to see them, almost on a weekly basis when they're not traveling the globe. Richard Miller started his career as a truck driver in 1978 and worked his way up to vice president by 32. He now leads as the director of logistics and transportation at Point to Point Transportation with decades of experience in live event execution. This man's on the road all year long. I never know where he's going to be. Germany, Singapore, other countries. Those are the only ones coming to mind right now. Brazil, Texas, the great state of Texas.
Texas is our own country.
Oh, right.
It truly is.
It is its own country. Yes. Yes.
And joining him today is Maria Gausepohl, our Director of International and Air Freight Operations, also at Point to Point Transportation. She has over 25 years of freight forwarding expertise and specializes in moving high stakes air freight where timing is everything. And failure isn't an option, folks, not when you're flying merchandise across the country or to the country of Texas. She's known for her freight finding superpowers. Truly, she found a lost semi-truck in Washington from Texas, and her ability to get things done when everyone else is still arguing over who's in charge. And actually, correction, it wasn't a truck, it was a trailer. That's just transportation talk for you folks. Together, they are here to share what it takes to keep the freight moving, shows on schedule, and clients calm, even when the wheels look like they're coming off, pun intended. Maria and Richard, welcome.
Thank you for having us.
The crowd goes wild.
A little unknown fact that may not have been shared is that Maria and I have been working together since at least 2008 with 3 different organizations.
Us and me and Libby too.
You guys are freight war buddies.
We are.
We have been, let me see, we have been partners. She has been a vendor of mine. I have worked under her guidance. She has worked under my guidance. So yeah, we have a long history.
Isn't that nice though? Like there's something really comforting about working with someone for, over a decade, almost 2 decades. Like you know each other, you know how to make things work. It compresses so much time, I think.
It does.
Yeah.
And plus you have each other's back.
Yeah.
And there's that.
You got those trench stories, so you guys know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so between international air freight, which I think a lot of people don't understand the complications of it. I still don't fully understand the complications of it by choice. Because it feels very complicated. Just kidding. I would love to learn about it. Between international air freight and domestic trucking, what is something that most planners forget to factor in during the planning stage that can derail everything? Like, what questions should they be asking their shipping and logistics partners from day one? Because if I called you guys to ship something for me to Germany or Texas, I don't know the first thing about the details. All I would know is these are my things and I need them to get there by this date. That's the only thing I would really think of as a planner.
Yeah, the most important question that they should be asking of their provider, how much time do you need to make it happen?
Okay. Is that because things get stuck places?
The
There's
potential
delays.
of things being stuck is very high.
Internationally.
And it really depends. What country is it going to?
Yeah.
And when is it going there?
And that's specific to internationally, not if you're shipping to Texas.
Correct. Yeah. I would say the most important thing, like Richard was saying, is time, but also it details on what you are shipping. Especially international, you have to have documentation to make sure that it matches what you're shipping. If not, your freight is going to end up locked up with customs for a while. So
because you have to be
match the
very
freight.
specific when you're, this isn't just like going to the post office and like, it's under 5 pounds or whatever. Just, drop it in the
Right.
box in the mail and it's like a flat fee. There are specific rules and they vary country to country. How do you guys remember that kind of like, how do you remember all of those things? Do you have your own
the
manual
agents
you
around
built?
the world? The agents around the world remind you of things. Our brokers remind us of things. And yes, and there's some things that we just know firsthand.
From the lived experience. Are there things you can't ship?
It all depends. Hazmat, we don't ship hazmat. You can't really ship batteries that are not connected to the equipment, things like that. Food
Guns and
is not
ammo.
something that we like to ship either. Food
Weapons.
or wine.
Food, wine,
or
weapons.
alcohol.
Got it.
Firearms.
Why can't you ship food and wine? Because, snacks are very important to me and snacks are something that I would want to ship because I'm always trying to give snacks away to other people, mostly so I can also eat them. But why can't you ship food?
Well, I haven't shipped food. I kind of keep, it's just liability.
I guess they would probably just
purposes.
get it over there. What's the point of shipping it? You could just
I mean,
get
there's people that want chocolate from Switzerland and I'm like, bad idea.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, and probably the snacks in other countries, have less preservatives and like chemicals in them. So they're probably better for you anyway. They're probably not even allowed. You're probably not allowed to bring them in some places, but.
Richard and Maria, I'd like to know what's the biggest shipping project you've worked on. I don't know if that means it's the number of pieces, if it's the number of pounds, but like the largest amount of shipping you've planned the logistics for one project.
I will let Maria go first with hers, but I have a story around that.
Oh, okay.
Biggest
Pins and needles.
project.
Pins and needles.
Well,
Maria,
it's the
we
same one
just
that you
did-
were going
we
to
just
talk
did a
about.
jet in.
Because we worked together on it. So it's the same one.
I know. Sorry, you guys probably just all the shared history.
Yeah, all the
Same
shared
story.
history. And I will just say a truckload full of gaming equipment went to the wrong location and dropped the trailer to a rail yard. So what happens is they put the trailer on the rail and it goes bye-bye. But it wasn't supposed to do that. It was supposed to go to an event. So the driver, cuckoo, did that to us. So we had to replace all the equipment practically overnight from, let's just say we had to fly 23,000 pounds of freight overnight on it and we plugged to Southwest, but they were amazing.
My gosh.
Yeah. So that it entailed many, many flights and Richard
23,000
actually
pounds.
was.
Because you couldn't get the other one
dropping.
back. You couldn't get the other.
couldn't.
Did the
The
trailer
rail-
go
the rail-
onto a train?
Yeah. It takes 30 days. Yeah. 30 days.
He put the trailer on the train, but did not bring it instead of taking it to the event. Oh,
In
yikes.
his defense, he put the trailer in a yard that was a railed yard that they take the trailers
and then
put
they
it
just
on the
took
rail.
the trailer. Can you guys just give our listeners a quick like breakdown of the truck and trailer? Because a lot of people, when they say truck, they just think of the whole semi truck.
Most of what we are using are 53-foot vans. That's the trailer. The over-the-road tractor is typically a sleeper tractor that can be 20 to 30 feet in length on top of the 53-foot trailer. So they're quite large. We have to be knowledgeable enough, or our operations team has to be knowledgeable enough to know where we can get those trucks, what locations we can get those large trucks into, so that when we're deciding what carriers to use, we're selecting the right ones.
Because isn't there, I remember when you guys were working on Ignite at the Washington State Convention Center, and you could only have so many trucks in the loading dock at a time. So sometimes you have to coordinate at another location for all the trucks to gather, and then coordinate them coming in different shifts to a loading dock when a loading dock cannot handle them all, right? Like, people don't think about all the logistics that goes into something like that, I don't think.
Correct. Yeah, that's you're referencing a marshalling yard.
A marshalling yard.
The key to the marshalling yard is you've got to keep the flow of trucks moving so that the labor on the docks, which the labor on the docks is typically more expensive than all of the trucking that's going on. So you've got to keep that steady flow where labor is not waiting on trucks.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Not to mention that there's a production schedule that they need that freight in at certain times so that they can build the events properly.
Right, because things have to be sequenced in an order.
Exactly.
Right, that makes sense.
All about
so Richard, what was your story? Did you want to elaborate on your story?
So I thought Maria would go a different direction. We were both involved.
Stories.
We were both involved with the missing truck going to the gaming event. But we also had another opportunity to work together where weather came into play. We had two 53-foot trailer loads moving to an event in Vegas. Both trucks loaded out. If I remember right, they loaded on December 31st in the afternoon, and they had 2 a.m. delivery appointments in Las Vegas for the largest consumer electronics show in the world. And the show opens on Monday. The trucks made it. I think one truck made it 50 miles. One truck made it about 100 miles from the shipper and got shut down due to an ice storm. So between Maria and I and one other person, we came up with a solution to get the trucks back to Dallas. I met the trucks at the airport. Maria and her team arranged for a charter aircraft to come in. And we loaded two 53-foot trailer loads of freight onto I believe it was an MD-80 charter.
Yep.
And flew all of that freight to Vegas. I think when we finished loading, we didn't even have landing rights yet at Vegas.
Or
finally got
handling,
that
Jeff.
worked out.
Yeah.
And the plane arrived, if memory serves me, around 8 o'clock Saturday night. Remember, the show's supposed to open Monday morning at 8 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
They worked all night Saturday night, all night Sunday night, and I think got the venue ready to open by 9 a.m. on Monday morning.
Oh my gosh. How do you guys manage that kind of stress other than really good deodorant?
How do you sleep during all of that? Do you sleep?
You
do you not sleep?
You don't sleep.
Yeah, I was going to say, you don't sleep.
Well, look at me. I'm 25 years old.
So youthful.
Yeah. Well, the other real tricky part is when you're loading a trailer, you're loading a rectangle.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
When you're loading a plane, you're loading a straw.
Ooh.
Very different dynamics.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it.
And playing Tetris at the same time.
And playing Tetris. And, oh, yeah, you don't want the plane doing a wheelie, so you
Yeah.
can't overload it.
Weight and
Yeah,
balance.
everything has to be balanced. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Did are you guys Tetris players? Were you ever a
God,
Tetris
no.
player?
I am really good at loading trucks. I hate that game, though.
Yeah,
Okay, that's fair.
we could probably
He does
win
it for
at
work.
Tetris.
He doesn't, you know, he does it all the time. He doesn't need to play the game. He is playing the game in real life every day.
Back to your original question, Libby, the largest single piece I've ever been involved with. We just did. And that was a 7-ton jet engine that we moved from Berlin to Hanover, Germany. Oversized truck with an escort, with permits through every county in Germany to make it happen.
Oh my gosh. How, what else weighs 7 tons in this
An
world?
elephant. I just looked it up.
An elephant weighs 7 tons? Like a giant African elephant,
Yeah,
maybe.
elephants are 4 to 7 tons.
That's big.
Yeah.
Were you there, Richard? Were you driving with it?
I wasn't in the truck. No, I was there when it came in.
He was holding the engine.
He's holding the straps on the back of the
Taking
truck.
selfies.
I would.
So a lot of times these events, what fascinates me when I got to know all the stuff that you guys work on is like the amount of stuff and time it takes for like a 2-day event. You could be building out an event for weeks just for 2 days, 3 days. And it could take, I mean, not only does it take a year to plan, but I mean, we're talking, I mean, it's kind of wild when you think about the behind the scenes of something for a day or two.
All the moving parts that go with it.
Yeah, it truly is organized chaos. The end is certainly a little calmer because you typically have more time. And as you mentioned earlier, we're bringing things in sequence. Where let's say we have a 3 or 4 day event, we have a 10-day move in and set up. When the show ends, we may have a day and a half to get it out. So that,
but it's a lot faster to tear down than to set up usually, right?
It's tremendously faster, absolutely, but it's still very hectic, very nerve-wracking. And if you have 1 or 2 trucks that don't show up when they're supposed to, then you've really got a challenge on your hands because you've got to get out by a certain time, or there's penalties from the venue, or there may be another show moving right behind you.
How do you guys stay organized and not losing anybody's stuff? Because I know that's a big question. Like event planners will come up to you and be like, "Where's my stuff?" So what's the secret sauce of keeping the stuff organized?
People like Maria. Truly.
Snaps for Maria.
Snaps for Maria. Are you out there with your label gun, just labeling away?
No, I do the triple check system. That's how I work. Triple check.
There is certainly a very good process in place. Bill of ladings, labels, pictures, just basic knowledge of the freight that we're moving. Many of the shippers we work with, we're very familiar with. We know what their freight looks like. We know what to expect.
And kudos to the ops team because it's a constant checking, the driver's on site, driver's loaded, driver's leaving. Where's the driver now? 4 hours later. So it's a constant checking system, for every single load. We don't do it alone. We do it with a team of people. And that team is what provides us, success.
Yeah, they do give you peace of mind. You guys have a really good team.
From what I know about the industry is the people in it have been in it forever. So if there are people that are interested in getting into it, what is the starting point for someone to enter into this type of industry?
I would say for the trade show industry, for sure, start with field services and then move on to, if you want to be in operations, move on to operations. But you learn the most being hands-on. I started as not field services, but I traveled a lot And I went to many events, and that's how I got a lot of the trade show knowledge. The air freight knowledge came after. So yeah, it's.
Do you each have like a most memorable event that you've done, like a real standout?
I think we all have very memorable events. And I'm not talking about the show itself, just things that happened over the course of our careers. We've talked about a couple of them. One of my favorites is I was in San Francisco. First time I'm managing an event by myself. I'm expecting a prototype computer to be delivered to me that's going to be used during the keynote. The shipment arrives, which we had nothing to do with arranging it. I'll make that clear. The shipment arrived. I looked at it. I thought to myself, this doesn't look like a typical computer box. So I opened it, and lo and behold, my computer was not in the box. So I called our shipping company and asked them where my computer was, sent them a picture of what I got, was told, let me check. They called me back in about an hour and they said, what you have there are sailboat parts destined for a broken down sailboat in Taiwan.
Does that mean that's where the computer went?
Well, that was my next question. Where is my computer? They said, well, the best we can tell, it's arrived in Hong Kong and is now in customs control with the Chinese government. You're not going to get your computer back for a while.
Yeah, because the paperwork doesn't match the freight.
Yep.
Was that an accident, or was someone trying to ship it to somebody else?
Well, no, it truly was a driver not doing the steps in the proper sequence. He didn't apply his shipping labels till he got back to the airport, and he did this, and one went one direction, one went the other direction. So you can
What do you do in that
everything
case?
perfectly, but you're still so reliant on the truck driver to do their job.
So what'd you do?
Yeah.
I
Replacement.
went to the green room and talked to the guy that was getting ready to do his rehearsal for keynote to let him know, dude, you're going to have to wing it. There is no computer coming.
How was the news received, Richard?
He didn't beat me up, but no, he was pretty cool about it.
Yeah.
But it changed everything about his presentation.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
of course it did. Of
You
course
feel
it
horrible
did.
about that.
Did anybody get fired from that situation?
I would hope so, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, the driver doesn't work directly for us, so we're not.
So it's not, I see. Yeah.
Yep.
Maria, what about you?
I would say, I'll tell you this from his story, from Richard's story, is that a game changer in our industry has been camera phones. Because I come from the beginning where, freight would always get swapped and all that. And I'll tell you, camera phones have made one of the biggest differences in our industry. Because now we could just see it. They could even FaceTime you and tell you, yeah, hey, we're here. You look, it's locked. The building's locked. We can't deliver, or something like that. So it's made a huge difference. In the beginning, I thought we were all crazy asking for pictures of freight. But now it's like, I live by it. We all live by it, making sure.
Do AirTags ever come into play?
Yeah. A lot of clients use AirTags, and I support it 100% because I think that, it is there moments where, you might get a nervous person that will say, oh, my freight hasn't moved. It's still sitting here. We're like explaining, the flight is, not until this day. And then, when it gets there, then it'll get cleared by customs and then, we'll deliver it to you. But yes, the AirTags are wonderful. We just recently had some freight that was like moved by a contractor out of a show by accident. And the customers sent us an email. She's like, I don't think it's supposed to be here. And my AirTag showing that. And sure enough, it was because the contractor gave our driver the wrong freight. Our driver is on his way back to his loading dock. the freight is back to where their location was. So yeah, so we knew right away because the client had AirTags. So AirTags are amazing.
Okay.
AirTags even come into play at show site. So during the event, empty crates, empty skids are removed from the exhibit and are returned at the end of the show. Many times those empties don't quite make it all the way back. So if there are AirTags in it, it's very beneficial to be able to locate them at show site.
Love that. And Maria, I'm sorry I interrupted you. What is your story of note?
Oh, my story. Okay. Well, out of nowhere, like 9 p.m. at night, I get a call saying, I'm getting married and my wedding dress is in LA and I'm getting married in Charlotte. And I was told that you guys ship. And I've never done this before. And I said, I can't just ship your freight. I go, you're not a client of ours. You're not like cleared with TSA. I can't just put your stuff on a plane. I can't. I go, but I can help you. I go, get it to where you need to get it. What day, is your wedding? And she goes, Sunday. And it was a Friday night. Somehow, some way, mom forgot her dress and her dress was back home. So I had to work with the charter company again to put somebody on a flight with her dress to the destination. That was the wildest thing I've ever done.
The most expensive wedding dress of all time had its own charter flight to the show.
I suspect Mom didn't forget the dress. I think Dad had something to do.
I would think so. Dad is nagging Mom. But yes, that's the wildest story I've had. And I'm so happy that the dress made it for her big day. And she sent me a picture on email.
Oh, that's cute.
I'm like, sorry for the $35,000 flight.
Oh my God. Oh my God. I'd have to just go pick one up at the JCPenney or something. Okay. So when you both are, clearly very used to getting things done under pressure, missing computers, overnight gaming systems, moving, hand moving items from trailers into planes. What is your mindset during those kinds of situations when it feels like everything is on the line for this event? She's not going to have her dress, or they're not going to have what they need to have their show start on time. What is going through your minds at those moments, and how do you stay calm and keep your cool with the people in your team?
It's really not at those moments, because if you're waiting for those moments, then you're already in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
If you think about what we do, we handle several thousand shipments a year. We get 99% of them right. So 1% of 1,000, it's 100 shipments. My math is right. That's what we're trying to be perfect, because we can't have 100 shipments go wrong. We just can't. Now, when I say they go wrong, in our world, they go wrong. Of those 100, probably 95 of them made it to the location when they were supposed to. Didn't impact the show. Mm-hmm. But somebody screwed up, so it's an error in our tracking. Mm-hmm. But it really is. We are absolutely trying to treat every shipment exactly the same way. And we're striving for perfection so that the customer has a good experience.
I think also when situations like that arise, it's like a challenge. For me, it's kind of fun. As crazy as it sounds, there's some I'm going to bark at, but there's some I'm going to go, okay, let's go. It's like you just envision a target. That's your target and you have to hit it. And that's the way I think about it, And of course, in my head, unlike Libby, I am not a duck swimming in water.
Yes. Yes. Maria is listening to the show, folks. That's right.
So I am not. I'm literally like the hammer where everybody's holding nails and I'm like, okay, let's go. That's me.
Love it.
Yeah.
The hammer.
I love that.
Bring the
I want to
hammer.
be a hammer. I want to be a hammer. I like that.
Maria does not accept no for an answer. I've witnessed it. If she gets no from one level, she keeps moving right up the ladder until she hears what she needs to hear.
I love that. I love that, Maria. When I was in advertising sales, I also didn't take no's. I was like, I keep going till I get a yes or a restraining order. Like, I just go.
I don't think I've gone that far, but I'd have to
Not
block
liter-
that email.
Not
many times.
literally. Yeah, not literally. But you know what I'm saying? Like, you have to be super persistent.
No, like I say, make them an offer they can't refuse without the horse head.
So it ain't bragging if it's true is a segment we like to do here. You guys have been in the industry forever. You obviously have pride in what you do. You are fulfilled with what you do, or you wouldn't have stayed with it this long. So, when you look back over the course of your career, like, what do you what makes you like just feel really good about what you've done? What's in it for you?
Everything about what we do is a challenge. Even though I had never done that's not true. I had done very few international events. I had done one in Shanghai, which was my first one, but then I've done several events now in Europe. And the difference between working events in Europe versus working events in the US is extreme. I mean, it's truly wild, wild west in some of the European venues. So learning the new things and learning how to navigate the challenges at those European venues was really quite fulfilling for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I've done so many domestic events. They're different, but they're the same. This was a new challenge.
Mm-hmm. Richard, when you travel abroad, what are some things that you have to make sure is packed in your bag? Like, what are things that you don't leave home without?
Well, number one is the right chargers so that you're able to operate. Scrambling to find those in Europe is a bit of a challenge, as funny as that may sound. But no, I basically bring a small office with me, all my office supplies, labels, blank labels.
A printer? Do you bring a printer?
I do bring a printer.
Oh.
I bring a roll of stretch wrap. I bring tape. I bring everything that I know I will need. I bring a few tools. And,
Your water bottle?
Yeah, not really, because you're not really using tap water over there.
Okay. Oh, internationally you don't. Domestically you do.
Yeah,
Richard,
yes.
the MacGyver packer.
Yep.
Yeah. He has duct tape in there too.
Yeah,
What about snacks, Richard? Libby wants to know about your snacks.
Yeah, what's your favorite snack that you travel with or that you buy at the airport?
I don't typically travel with snacks, I tend to avoid them until I'm at the warehouse.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I
Right.
like to keep this warehouse stocked with candy for those that don't know.
And when the candy runs low, Richard definitely puts up the red flag. The bucket is low, Libby.
But here's the thing. Richard also knows where I keep the candy stash before it goes into the bucket. So he has the inside knowledge.
He can refill it.
I tried to tell him one time, I was like, oh, Richard, well, you know where you could get it? He's like, I know, Libby. I've already been there. It's empty too. That's how I knew I was failing Richard. My snack mission. Richard, when you're on show site in another country, how do you make sure that you can communicate with people and really jump over the language barrier?
Well, just like Maria said earlier, the smartphone has been a game changer, and the Translate app on it is awesome. But there's an awful lot of talking into phones and showing drivers what you're saying so that they can
shaking your phone.
And they say, no, I'm not Polish, I'm Ukrainian.
See, that'd be kind of interesting because you have to show them your phone and then you have to make your face reflect what you're trying to say. So you got to look stern or like
trust me,
smiling?
they read my body language pretty well.
I'm sure they do. Do you find yourself, Richard? My neighbors do not speak English, and so the way that we communicate with each other is through a translator, their translator, not mine. And I find myself talking slower and louder, and it's like I don't need to, but I'm always doing that, and I'm
You
so
think if you talk
embarrassed.
slowly and loudly enough that they'll
Yeah.
just all of a sudden
Yeah.
be English speaking as a first
Yeah,
language?
Totally.
Well-
And then I'm like this, like, you know,
You have to enunciate well too. 'Cause,
that's true.
You know,
That's true.
slower, louder, enunciate, and then give them the.
Maria, what about you? What do you like? What do you feel the best about when you look back at your career?
I would say I feel the best about the help part of things, like helping with, I thrive when there's chaos. So I love that. I love the busier, the better for me. I love that time goes and flies by, and I feel good at the end of the day that I've completed service to every single client that was, that needed it that day. And yeah, it for me, that's the best part, is just giving my time for that.
Well, and it feels good when you crush something, right? And I think that's what that I love about the events industry is everything is always different, even though it's always kind of the same.
Yeah.
That makes sense, right? Like it's just, it doesn't ever get boring. It doesn't ever get stale. It can get tiring. It can get exhausting. There can even be moments of frustration. But when you crush the end result, like it just feels so good.
Yeah, it does. It does. It really does. And that's crushing the day, I guess that you would call it, right? So that's the way.
Before I take us out, I would love to know, Work P2P, the parent company of Point to Point Transportation and Beats Working and several other brands, we operate very differently than other companies. And it can sometimes take a little getting used to, but what is something that you've learned or grown in or developed, a skill you've developed by doing the things that we do on our source code?
Well, I think the way we think about things is very different. I really have embraced the think, plan, act cycle. And I think Maria's team also embraces that. So that's a big part. I think many of the companies I've been with in the past focused more on bottom line performance than actual operations performance, where Point to Point is very different than that. We're really focused on providing excellent service, customer satisfaction. The rest will come just because we're performing well.
Well, and I think in part it's also because there's a real intention around making sure the staff is feeling really good about themselves, their life, both inside the warehouse and outside the warehouse, professionally and personally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we have a lot of tools. Maria, what about you? You've been with Richard forever, but you've been with our team now for, is it almost 2 years?
Well, I've known Dan as long as I've known Richard.
Oh, you have? Okay.
Yeah. So being in the industry that long, you get to know everybody. The biggest change was, it's my environment before was more of your like, you don't have time to complain, breathe, or do much, so putting things in sequence, being intentional about your actions, those things didn't come into play. You're just reacting mostly, most of the time. And I think that getting to that point now where I'm intentional about my actions and my process. And now that I'm putting things in sequence, I'm using my top 6 to my advantage. So I love it. I mean, it's changed my life literally. Because before, if you were to talk to me, 5 years ago, I'm still the hardworking person, but I wasn't as happy or smiley or more content in my mind or in my heart. I would tell you that would be the truth.
And Top 6 is our internal productivity time management tool. We are actually working on an app that will at some point be available to the general public to use. But I am also a very pro top 6 user. I had resistance at first, right? Because I don't like discipline. I don't like doing the same thing over and over again. And going back to what you said, Richard, but think, plan, act. Like people often don't realize that those are separate things. They think thinking and planning is the same thing, and they're very much not. And so I also really love the think, plan, act mentality and all the tools that we have at Work P2P, which I think really does make us winning the game of work and winning the game of events and winning life. You know, I've accomplished more things that I wanted to accomplish in the last 2.5 years because of the tools we have inside of the company. So it's just a very different environment than what I think how a lot of other companies run. And I would guess it's wildly different from how other shipping and logistics companies run, like wildly different.
100%.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say 100%.
Well, that is all the time we have today, but we hope you guys will come back. And if our listeners want to find you, they can find you on LinkedIn. Is that correct? Are you both on LinkedIn? I know.
Right.
Yes.
I am on LinkedIn, yes.
Perfect. We'll put your LinkedIn links in the show notes. And that is a wrap for this episode of Beats Working. If you have an idea or you want to reach out, please email us at info@beatsworking.show. And remember, every detail matters. Every moment counts. And no matter what, the show must go on.
Thanks for listening to Beats Working, Winning the Game of Events, where we explore what it takes to make moments unforgettable.
If you're leaving with a little more inspiration, a little more perspective, and a big side ache from all of the laughing at our funny jokes, then we've done our job.
Beats Working is a Work P2P production. If you've enjoyed this episode, please don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review us on your favorite podcast platforms.
Your support helps us keep the magic going.